Welcome to KGN Caribbean News. I'm Carisha Graham. Here's what's making headlines in this week's Caribbean Crime Watch. A domestic dispute at Antigua's main hospital turned violent. Police say a man's SUV tire was slashed during an argument with his spouse in the parking lot. Later that night, the conflict escalated when the spouse reportedly followed the man and a co-worker and tried to stab the woman with a knife. The man stepped in, broke up the fight, and handed the weapon over to the police. Three males, including a juvenile, are behind bars in the Bahamas after being accused of raping a 14-year-old girl in the Kempt Road area. The suspects have been ordered to remain in custody while the courts handle the case. Officials have not released more details, but the allegations have sparked outrage in the community. Police in Nassau are investigating the death of a 23-year-old man whose body was discovered with gunshot wounds off Springfield Road near Prince Charles Drive. Officers say they were alerted by a call that led them to the scene last Wednesday afternoon. The victim had been reported missing the night before. So far, investigators have not released a motive or announced any arrest. Police in Georgetown say a 63-year-old security guard is dead after being stabbed during a confrontation on Barrack Street. Investigators report that Paul Devonish collapsed after suffering a wound to upper thigh and later died at the hospital. Officers say the suspect is a 29-year-old female security guard who was arrested soon after the incident. Police in Pinal are investigating the murder of a shop owner who was shot inside his business on Pinal Rock Road. Officers say 46-year-old Kevin Ryan was attacked by a masked gunman. Ryan was hit in the chest, ran to the back of the shop, and collapsed. He died at the scene. The shooter escaped on foot, and so far no arrests have been made. A Spanish Town woman is facing charges after police say she sheltered a man who escaped from the Constant Spring lockup. Investigators report the fugitive, who was being held on identity theft charges, was captured during a raid in the Waterloo Gardens area of St. Catherine. The 21-year-old accused is due in the St. Catherine Parish Court. Police in St. Kitts and Nevis have laid drug charges against a man from Lower Monkey Hill. Officers say 43-year-old Randolph Welsh was taken into custody after cocaine and cannabis were found during a recent operation. He has since been charged with possession and intent to supply, and the case is now before the courts. In St. Lucia, the family of Chakadan Daniel is again calling for justice 12 years after he was found dead in a police cell in Mikod. An inquest later ruled his death an unlawful killing, but the case was stalled, and now police confirmed that the news used as evidence has gone missing. Relatives say the loss deepens their pain and urging reforms to ensure accountability and stronger oversight of law enforcement. In St. Vincent, popular radio DJ Gasroy, aka DJ Swagger, Ferguson, has been gunned down outside Boom FM station in Kingstown. Police say he was shot several times just after midnight on Paul's Avenue. Another man was also injured in the attack and remains in the hospital. Investigators are still searching for the shooters. And today's newscast is powered by Luxury Glam Onsley. So if you want your makeup, your hair, brows, or lashes on point, whether you're stepping out bold, bridal ready, or straight up boss babe vibes, Little One, the owner of Luxury Glam Onsley, got you covered. Trust me, this is where the glam magic happens. Hit up the number on your screen to book your glow up or catch all the info on Instagram on your screen. Let's check the political heartbeat of the Caribbean in this week's Politics Pulse. In St. Lucia, opposition leader Alan Chastanet is calling for tougher action to tackle crime, saying the country is facing its worst security crisis. He wants more resources for police, better use of technology, and faster court trials. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, however, says his government is already making major investment in law enforcement. Sharon Clifton Kelsick from Antigua and Barbuda has been elected president of the Caribbean Union of Teachers. She becomes only the second woman in the union's long history to hold the top post. Kelsick, who also serves as General Secretary of Antigua and Barbuda's Teachers Union, was chosen during the group's biennial conference in St. Martin. She says her focus will be on strong collaborative leadership as the union tackles challenges facing educators across the region. In the Bahamas, government has introduced new land reform laws aimed at making property ownership clearer and fairer. The measures replace the old deed system with a modern registry that gives each parcel of land a secure title. Officials say the change will cut down on disputes, speed up transactions, and make it easier for families to pass property on to the next generation. In Barbados, the opposition is raising alarms over government's new wiretap bill. Senator Andrew Worrell says the legislation was rushed through without enough input from lawyers or the public and warned it could open the door to abuse. He's calling for the bill to be sent to a committee for a closer review before becoming law. Kazakhstan and Grenada have signed a new deal that will allow diplomats and government officials to travel between the two countries without a visa for up to 30 days. The agreement is meant to strengthen ties and will take effect once both sides complete the necessary steps at home. In Guyana, election officials say voters don't have to worry if they don't mark their ballot with a perfect X. As long as the choice is clear, whether with a tick, circle, or another mark, the vote will still be counted. Officials stress ballots will only be thrown out if the intention isn't clear or if the rules are broken. Trinidad and Tobago's top cop is back in the prime minister's position on four nationals held in Venezuela. Police say the men were caught on a vessel with fuel, engines, and satellite phones items linked to a suspected smuggling run for weapons and drugs. The commissioner says public funds won't be used to help them, and investigators are now working to break up the networks tied to the case. Politics isn't just for politicians, it affects everyone. Keep watching KGN Caribbean News for the latest events as it unfolds across the region. Health across the Caribbean. Governments are ramping up healthcare initiatives addressing gaps in prevention, infrastructure, and readiness as new challenges emerge. Antigua's Browns Avenue Clinic is now operating out of the old Halberton Hospital. The move comes after the original building was deemed unfit for staff and patients. Officials say all service will continue at the temporary site, which also introduces a new sickle cell unit, allowing patients to receive care overnight. Work to upgrade the original clinic is expected to get underway soon. A young Bahamian researcher is gaining international recognition for work that began at the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute. Erin Francis has published a study showing neem extract could serve as a cheaper natural option for controlling parasites in sheep. The project, first tested in Andros, has now been peer reviewed and published, offering new hope for livestock farmers looking for affordable solutions. The Sandals Foundation is investing 320,000 Canadian dollars, about 235,000 US dollars into children's cancer care across the Caribbean. The 5-year grant will support the Sick Kids Caribbean initiative, which trains doctors and nurses, expands telemedicine, and improves diagnosis and treatment in 6 island nations. Officials say it builds on more than a decade of support from Sandals to strengthen pediatric health service in the region. Health experts say Jamaica is at a turning point in its fight against cervical cancer. New cases and deaths have declined in recent years, but vaccination rates remain very low, and screening is still slowed by staff shortages and long delays. Doctors are urging a shift to more accurate HPV testing and greater public awareness to help the country meet global targets and save more lives. Here's what's happening in the Caribbean economy with this week's Island Market Watch. The Agriculture Ministry in Antigua and Barbuda has rolled out a new digital system to keep better records on farmers. The platform will store information on farm locations, crops, and production, giving officials a clearer picture of the sector. More than 1,500 farmers are expected to be registered, with extension officers helping to gather the data. In the Bahamas, the teachers union is warning that classrooms could face shortages when the new school year begins. Just over 70 new teachers have been hired, but union president Belinda Wilson says that number falls short of what's needed. To fill the gap, the ministry is bringing back retired educators and will continue to rely on Q1 teachers already in the system. Barbados has opened a new global skills center aimed at preparing workers for the jobs of the future. The facility, based at the National Union of Public Workers headquarters, will offer training in high demand areas like electronics and network cabling. Officials say the center will not only provide technical skills but also help Barbadians build problem solving and adaptabilities, key tools for a rapidly changing job market. In Caracas, staff from Republic Bank teamed up with the community to give Dover Government School a new look. The school was rebuilt after Hurricane Beryl, but its classrooms were left unpainted. Volunteers spent the day adding color and life to the building, creating a brighter, more welcoming space for students heading back to class. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Education Ministry has met with more than 100 principals to set priorities for the new school year. The talks focus on improving student discipline, updating the curriculum, and even introducing AI generated digital textbooks. Officials also discuss boosting vocational training, filling vacancies faster, and upgrading school service like nutrition and student support. The Bank of Jamaica is projecting stable prices over the next 2 years, even as July's inflation dipped to just over 3% below the target range of 4 to 6%. Officials say the drop was held by cheaper food and electricity, but expect costs to move back within the target band as those temporary factors fade. The central bank has kept its key interest rate at 5.75% to help steady prices and protect economic from global risk. In St. Lucia, police have received new resources to strengthen their fight against crime. The government has supplied additional patrol vehicles, protective vests, and mobile forensic unit that can process evidence right at crime scene. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a new group is pushing for climate action with a focus on fairness and human rights. Equal Rights Access and Opportunities SVG has launched the Climate Justice SVG initiative to highlight how storms, rising seas, and other impacts affect the most vulnerable. That's it for this week's edition of KGN Caribbean News. I'm Carisha Graham. See you next week right here where vibes meets truth and every island will eventually get the spotlight.